We heard a lot about the hypergrowth market already, and that we are only at the beginning, and I fully support that view. And it's just, it's just in we're in a baby stage, so that all we experienced the last couple of weeks is like growing pains. But it's a good opportunity to get into that market. And as Benno pointed out, it's only a very small section of the market already in. I think in Austria it's about 2 to 3% of the overall population having crypto wallets at all. And we are really talking about millions, not billions. So it's really, we're just starting to see the coming developments. What I want to talk today is one of the future applications we will see. It's called asset-backed tokens or stable coins. I remember meeting in Ljubljana with Matej. We talked about having the need for some, let's say, assets or some backup for cryptocurrencies. Because what we see is that we are currently using most of the coins or tokens as a means of transporting value. But there is a lot more application or use cases, and one of these use cases are asset-backed tokens. So what we see is that we, although in the middle of a correction or recovering from a correction, we see these curves. People chasing the highs. And now the most important thing is we end the correction higher than the last correction was, so that every trader knows that as long as the trend is intact, we are good to go. So I still think we are in a, let's say, heavy growth market. So what is asset-backed tokens and why do we need it? We have a lot of tokens, and when we go to CoinMarketCap, it's not 1,400 anymore. It's today it's something like 1,500 something, and but the vast majority of these tokens are so-called intrinsic tokens. So that means there is more or less it's either a business model attached or they are tokens just to transport value. It's like the major case is Bitcoin, Ripple, for example. So what we need to do is to attach something to have the big majority of the wealth in the world is comprised of physical or tangible values, and one of the use cases will be such things. So what we need to see is a combination of intrinsic stuff, so basically protocols on the technical layer, combined with structure, logistics on the physical layer. And I will get into this a little bit more. We heard today we talk a lot about tokenization, and here I also want to say that not everything is it's a good thing to tokenize, because we have seen so many ideas like tokenize paintings or tokenize everything. I think there will be some point in time where we say, okay, we cannot tokenize everything. At least if we have, if you have a commodity which is really able to segregate from the rest, and we can, for example, deliver, this is something we can tokenize. If we have a painting, theoretically we could do anything, but it's hard to imagine and hard to execute. We have one example, which is, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and this was before the crash set in, it was the beta dollar. And as you know, there is a lot of speculation about this. This is one of the, or is at the moment, the most prominent example, at least in theory, what an asset-backed token could look like. And it is a structure that is linked to real asset in terms of, in this case, it should be real US dollars. But what happens actually is that there's more and more question marks about this. So it's not only about the technology, it's also about, you know, how to make sure that the asset is really there. So there has to be a lot of transparency, much more transparency, that makes it easy to verify if the assets are there. And this, here in this example, we don't have. And what we expect is there will be a huge shift, as you see in the Bitcoin was at the end, or at the beginning of 2017, it was maybe 90–95% of the overall market cap. Now it's more 35%, and I fully support the view that Ethereum will overtake. Because Ethereum has technologically a lot of advantages. And we will come to a point where, for example, the energy consumption, it will be a larger concern. And if you have a proof of work algorithm which consumes such you know, large amount of energy and effort, there has to be alternatives. So proof of stake will come, and I think Ethereum is technologically best positioned to reach the top. And in addition to that, most of the ICOs, for example, still use Ethereum. It's just, you know, it's just an industry standard. And whenever an industry standard is coming up, it's like a monopoly game. We remember Microsoft, we remember Apple. As soon as you start to become monopolist, you will gain monopoly premium. And Ethereum will become a monopoly, in my point of view. There are other blockchains that can also execute smart contracts, and there's a lot of work in Bitcoin, or let's say extensions of Bitcoin, but it's all, you know, it's like this, and trying to solve things that are better done with Ethereum. This is my personal opinion. We will see, but nevertheless, there will be a shift. So Bitcoin will not be the king at the end of 2018. And the same will be with asset-backed tokens. Now, 99% of all asset-backed tokens is in this game, in this theater, and this is around 2 and something billion. And the interesting thing is that they have extreme turnover. So in stress times, you can see turnovers of 4, 5, 6 billion a day. I mean, imagine, this is really a lot of money changing hands. But now, it's 99%, but at the end of the year, I would say it's maybe 50% or less, depending on what will happen with auditors and the legal stuff and so on. And one thing I want to point out, everybody of you who is dealing with crypto and fiat and the gateways of crypto and fiat knows how difficult it is to work with banks. And this will become even more complicated. So this is a business model that is really hard to sustain, because I could not imagine, I really cannot imagine, if the dollars are there, that you can really have a gateway for billions up and running without any frictions. So as soon as US banks or European banks cut, then there is a problem. And by the way, I mean, there are some strange things going on that overnight 500 millions are released US dollar without any proof that there is additional money coming in this, at that speed of light. In addition, there is no contractual obligation to deliver the actual US dollars. So that's basically Imagine ICONOMI would say, well, send us your funds, send us your Ether, send us your Bitcoin, and if we like, you can exchange it back. If not, yeah. Nobody would do that. But strange enough, people are still buying this stuff. So I'm not arguing this will tank overnight, but it will go down, and there will be alternatives on the market. But the most important thing is to gain trust. To gain trust in these assets, because, for example, let's take the gold. There are 10 or 12 providers on the market, some for more than 2 years, and nobody has taken off. Why? It's just trust. It's the missing trust. It's not about the technology. It's not that complicated. And I'm always arguing, we are, as blockchain investors, we are, at least for our company, we are not defining rocket science. That, you know, that's what others do. But we are just trying to apply common sense to this new technology. And it's like when you go back to the internet, it was like, you know, picking out the future monopolists. It's like the Amazons, the eBays, the Apples of the future. So, and this is something that will come because there is a need. There's a need of, let's say, sending funds across the world. And if anybody says, okay, well, we have the Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, that's right. But can you use it for B2B transactions? No. You know why? The reason is, I would, as a supplier, for example, I'm a Chinese, or let's say, Taiwanese supplier, I would never accept payments in a large amount in Bitcoins, Ethereum, or whatever, when the market can go down for 5 or 10%. Maybe it's even more than my margin is. So to really establish this B2B asset, we need to have a stable coins, and there has to come stable coins in the market. Right, and many companies are working on this and are thinking about clever high-tech solutions. Some with 2 coins, they're stabilizing themselves like 2 planets rotating about each other, around each other. But I think it's simpler than that. You have to have a working business model. You have to be for some time on the market to show that you can, you know, manage assets, be trustful, trustworthy, and then the market will pick up. That's the only way, because we cannot solve everything with technology. We can do great things, and the fund token is it's a great invention, and it solves a lot of investor requests, because with one click of a mouse you can basically invest in the whole universe of interesting blockchain technologies, and that's basically what we do on the platform, and that is really a great invention. But we have to keep in mind that when we want to go mass market, we have to touch more than just the payment solution. We have to deal with real value, with real people, and become mature. So this is something we have to keep in mind, and there will be major shakeouts. But you know, we will not panic, because there will be just, I would say, 90% of the coin market cap in 12 to 24 months will be gone, because at the end there will be gravity again. It's like at the end of 2000 or 2001, and you remember the crazy internet times, pets.com or whatever, Intershop, the German company, they went like this, and then boom, all of a sudden. So they raked in billions, and the same is happening right now with many ICOs. And the ICO space, maybe we can talk a little bit afterwards, has become very crowded. But at the end of the day, it's about entrepreneurial spirit. It's about people behind or in front of the company that have the ideas and come up with the right solutions. So that will be the way the market will go forward. So these, most of, let's say 90 to 95% of these offerings will disappear. Is this a problem? No, not at all. because the good ones will stay. And I guess we've seen one of them as a major backbone of the fund industry. Here to stay, it's ICONOMI. And if you look at the way things work, I mean, it's not everything is perfect. That's always in life, but it's there. It's there, and it's like in the real world. It's Lixo platform. They manage 600 billion euro with a team of 600 people. Imagine that. And that's a major backbone in the hedge fund industry. And this is a company that has the potential to do so. That's why we decided to work alongside, and we are very proud, as you are, as well as fellow DA managers, to work with this. And this is a very good backbone, and this needs to be done to create trust. So thanks a lot. Maybe we can talk a little bit later about ICOs. This is from my side. And yeah, the next one. All right.